Well, I'm about to go into the woods here and try to get over to this farm field where I think this house is labeled as owned by J. McDougle on the 1852 Atlas used to be. And there's no road to it, so at that time it could have been a log cabin out in the middle of a farm field. Who knows, even the woods. I don't know. But the road I'm on here now is looking south, which would be down the page that I'm looking at here. The schoolhouse, you see SH up there? That's no longer there. I think I found the patch of ground where it used to be, but it's so overgrown. I don't see any evidence of any building or structure there, so I'm not going to bother with that one. But if I switch to the 1858 Atlas, you can see that the name now is J. Barber, and there's two structures out there. There's now a road going back to a W. McDougle, which who knows if that's the same guy and they just misspelled his first initial. Not sure, but the schoolhouse is still there in 1858. So I'm heading through the woods right here to try to get back to that location and start metal detecting. I'll let you know when I get out there. Okay, here's the field. Right out in that little stand of woods right there is where I think the Barber, McDougle Barber house, depending on whether the surveyor was right with the maps or whether McDougle sold it to Barber between 1852 and 1856, I don't know. But I was out here last week for about an hour or two in that area, and I got a lot of iron sounds. I found a part of a pewter spoon, some old horseshoes. I see evidence in those woods too that there might have been a house foundation, so I got to explore that a little bit more. So I'm going to head over there, take a look at the area, and see if I get any more good signals on the detector. I also found a lot of brick and pieces of china, which is very indicative of an old house being out there. So, and there may have been two for all I know, and it could have been a log cabin at some point. So we'll see what happens. Well, I'm just in front of where I think the old house was. A lot of brick all over the place here. Some pieces of old dishware. Got a pretty decent signal here, and I think I might have a coin. Let's take a look here. Okay, see that right there. And it looks like an Indian head penny. Yes. Like 1880 something. Let me clean this up. I'll show you. All right, I can guess it's 1889. It's the best I can see on that until I clean it up more. But pretty amazing to find an Indian head penny out in the middle of all this. Right down in that hole. All right, on to more. back to it. Well, I just got a solid signal, and I think I got a button. An old button. Yes, an old button. Probably brass. Well, let me see if there's any writing on it. Well, there is some writing on it, but I can't make it out here in the field, so I'll have to clean that up at home and see if I can get any kind of identification off that back mark on the button. But I'd say it's pre-1850, well, around 1850, maybe a little earlier, but that's a very cool find. And I have another button. I don't know if buttons are boring to most people, but I think they're pretty cool. This one definitely has some writing on it. I could see when I first flipped it over. Let me grab it and I'll show you. So there's the button. It's hard to see. There's some writing and a little bit of leftover gilt on it. But I'll clean it up at home and show it in the at the end of the video when everything is cleaned up. 2 buttons in one day is pretty good. All right, on to more. Well, here's the old stone foundation. I'm not sure if it's the house or the barn. I get the impression it's the barn. Just because of the size and shape of it. It's fairly rectangular. It's off on the back side of this hill here. But yeah, the roof, it's like a tin roof, more like a barn would have if they repaired it in more recent times. But the foundation is definitely old stone. So I don't know if there'd be anything around here or not, but I'll buzz around for a little bit and see what I can find. Well, it's been 4 hours this afternoon, and I got to get out of here to get home. But I had pretty good success. 4 buttons, Indian head penny, some other things I'll show at the end. I got a lot of cleaning up to do and some research to do, but pretty good way to spend an afternoon away from all the craziness and this amazing, beautiful country. Well, I had to add to my video. On the way out, I noticed this little rise, little mound in the middle of this field, and that could sometimes mean a house or a cabin was here. So I came up the top of this little knob, and I saw a bunch of brick, some broken crockery, and I'm coming down towards the bottom of this hill, and I get a signal that was kind of, questionable. It could have been foil, aluminum. So I dig down and I find there's a little aluminum looking disc. It was silver. And I'd already dug it out because I wasn't expecting it to be anything, but it is actually a Spanish, I get it to focus here, a Spanish real. It's silver. I think the date might be 1800 something. I've got to look at it closer at home, but and I forget who the king is. It's the King of Spain on here. These were minted in Mexico and used as coinage for the U.S. Well into the early 1800s. There's the back of it. And I can do some, research and give more detail on it at the end of the video here. But yeah, this is pretty amazing. So this is probably the older location of the house that was out here. Could have been a starter house, and then they may have moved something back towards that back area where I was most of the day here. But yeah, pretty cool find. My first Spanish silver. There it is. All right, it pays to swing on your way out of the field towards the car, because if I hadn't done that, I never would have found this. Before wrapping up the video here for the first part of this homestead metal detecting hunt that I did in this what I've been calling the McDougle Barber homestead area, I just want to clear something up. I came to this conclusion just the other day when I started looking at these maps again, and I can't believe I didn't think of this right off the bat, but these maps can be a little confusing. They're fairly accurate for the time. Roads are laid out very accurately. If you look at some of the roads that still exist, even today, they're very well drawn, and the house locations that are still standing are pretty accurate. And for the most part, the ones that were marked down that are gone in the general area, you can find where they used to be. So they're very helpful, but they get confusing sometimes with the names sometimes. So, you see this J. McDougle in the 1852 atlas circled here, and it's in an area opposite the road here. Over here is a Mrs. Barber. It's cut off there, Mrs. Barber. Down here is a J. Barber. Up here is a J. Barber. Same person owning two properties, possibly. There's the schoolhouse. And up here is a T.R. Beatty and a Widow Beatty. Then you go to the 1858 atlas, and in that same area before where McDougle was, you have a J. Barber. Well, that has to be a J. Barber. Okay, I don't know, surveyors back then made spelling errors just like today, I guess. But here's the schoolhouse in the same spot. There's the Mrs. Barber. Up here you have a T.R. Doty rather than a T.R. Beatty. Similar sounding name, and they both have the T.R., so you got to wonder about that. And here's a T.R. Bailey that sounds like Beatty, but spelled Bailey. Now over here we have a W. McDougle up north of this new road that comes in here that was not there in 1852. So there's a lot of confusion going on with these names, but again, here is this J. Barber. I'm pretty sure that's a J. Barber. And again, he may have owned multiple properties, but from what I have experienced, this spot right here is the house I had been detecting, where I found the Spanish silver coin and several buttons, and I think that might have been a barn, perhaps, or another homestead, because I do see evidence of brick and glass and china back in this area here. But regardless, I just, in the video you'll hear me refer to as Barber. Well, and even in the video that's going to be following after this, the next installment of part 2 of this, which I haven't finished yet. I started filming it before this, but I just felt I needed to clear up what I am positive is a J. Barber property I've been metal detecting, not Barber. So anyways, here's the wrap-up of some things I had found that I didn't film. Okay, this is a bit of a wrap-up of my first video of my first 2 trips out to the J. Barber McDougle Homestead Farm Field Permission. The first time I went out there was just for about an hour or 2 exploring the possibility of being a place to detect, and I did find a place. There were remnants of brick and crockery and glass. So on that day I found this really nice pewter spoon handle, or a utensil handle. I guess could be a fork, but it feels like it's a spoon to me. But definitely pewter. It's heavy. It's got that greenish grayish cast. It's got a nice little design on it. Lots of iron, hand forged iron implements here that I've yet to determine what they are, but I'll be doing some derusting on these and see if I can clean those up and figure out what they were used for. It's always interesting to see this mass of rust and be able to take the rust off and reveal what is underneath. And this is a little piece of china. It's like a little cup. A nice little design on it. Obviously not found with a metal detector, but these are things you come across when you dig and when you walk across a field, indicating someone is living there. There's another interesting pewter handle of some sort. It's got a little design on it. And it looks like a hole where you would have hung it up on a hook. And it almost has a feel like a ladle of some sort. Very heavy pewter. Again, pewter mostly used in the mid-1800s, early 1800s. An interesting square, I believe, brass tack or nail. And parts of plated, silver plated copper, I guess, spoon bowls. There's a silver plated, maybe stainless steel utensil handle, the design on it. This little metallic thing, I have no idea what that is. And this is a rivet, probably for a saddle. Still has the leather in between the rivet. So that does it for the first video of this detecting adventure out at this old homestead site, or the site of 2 homesteads. And part 2 will be coming soon. So thanks for watching.